Hello, and welcome to virtual training. Today is the final day in our 5-part video series on cell basics. Today's session covers template creation. For those of you who have either admin access or content maintainer access within Cell, then you have the ability to create either quote templates or tab templates. By the end of today's session, you should understand the basic workflow needed to create either quote templates or tab templates. Quote templates and tab templates that are pre-built to meet your needs are definitely going to save you time. They're going to help create uniformity and standardize your quotes. I've logged into Cell, and I'm on my dashboard. And I'm going to open the last quote that we created in the previous session, and it's located in my recent quote pod. If your quotes are not in the recent quote pod, then you can access it from your menu. Just click on the Open Quote button, and you can search for it in this window. I'm going to click on that. Again, opening up our previous quote, and I'm going to move over to Prepare Content. If you remember, in this quote, we added a cover letter, and then we filled out some pre-outline information. We put in about our team. We added in some pictures. We added in thumbnails. We've got products. And in each one of these tabs, we applied a grid layout. We entered price modifiers. And as I've been mentioning throughout all of these virtual trainings, so much of this functionality can actually be pre-built into your templates. Now, if you remember, every time we start a quote, we have 3 quote templates to choose from. I'm going to go back up here. And these are the 3 basic templates that come with the system. So the basic hardware software, basic quote template, and then the detailed hardware software. So after we learn how to create quote templates, so we'll learn how to add to this list, then we're also going to learn how to add or create tab templates. I'm going to go back to my dashboard and remind you where those live. In Prepare Content, when I come down to the end of my list of tabs, I can click on the plus sign, and each one of these is a tab template. So we'll learn how to create both quote templates and tab templates. And by doing that, you're definitely going to be saving yourself some time, going to create some uniformity among your quotes. So we're going to start off with quote templates. So before we actually create one, I want to quickly walk you through the anatomy of an existing template that we used this week. And to access them in edit mode, up here in the top right corner, I have an edit toggle. So I'm going to flip this over to edit. And now if you notice, those plus signs at the beginning of the row are now pencils, so I could edit any one of these. I'm just going to edit the very first one just to walk you through what the template setup looks like. And there you go. And when you open up a template in edit mode, you can see the big red bar across the top, reminding me that I am in edit mode. And I'm going to walk you through each one of these phases here, and then we'll actually go create one ourselves. So the phases are laid out just like they are when you're actually creating a quote. In the very first phase in the progress bar, we have template setup. In template setup, this is where you're going to actually put in the quote name. So this is where this template, when this quote template was created, this is the quote name, and this is where it lives. And so this is the basic hardware software template. When we create ours, we'll come up with our own quote name. If you want to put in quote notes here, and they will appear next to the template name, just as a little description, maybe an explanation of when to use that specific template. Now, the expiration date here is not set here. It's actually, if you remember, it's set in your settings. But this is something that's just going to pre-fill from your settings. And if the end user who's using that template wants to change the expiration date, they can do it on a quote-by-quote basis. Template setup is also where you will set your currency. So most of us are probably just going to be quoting in one currency. But if you, for example, if you're in Canada and you quote in Canadian dollars as well as US dollars, you might have a template set to both 2 different types of currencies. And then in your quote notes, you could explain any differences. Down here, approver options, if you want to create some approver rules specific to this template, you could do that. So there are some different levels and different hierarchies for manager approvals, and this is one of the places where you could set approvals. You could do it by template. If you do it by template, you could put it, for a specific dollar amount or a specific margin. The main thing that you want to pay attention to in this phase of template setup is the quote name and the currency. I'm going to move on to publish settings. And there's two pods here. In the first pod, these first 4 checkboxes pertain to packaged items. So if you're going to be using packages or bundles, then these 4 checkboxes will determine how they appear. So the first one I have here is print the package header line. And then to the right of that, I have print the package header price. Below that, you can have print package line items and print package item prices. So the 3 that I have checked here is a common scenario. So you have your package header line and the price, and possibly the line items printing, but not the individual prices. So what you're going to be doing here is setting the defaults for the template. Now remember, when you're actually in a quote, if you have the appropriate access, you can go to this area in quote setup and you can make adjustments on a quote by quote basis. Over here to the right in the template, you do want to set your order porter template, which likely is going to be that cell accordion, the one that expands and collapses when you're on the order porter page. And then we also have an order porter style. So I know we've talked about having different quote form styles, and so that's where you're going to set this. This is your quote form, and if you have a special one that's created for your company, then you could default your company's new quote form at the template level. But over here on the left, we have this order porter style. So let me just kind of remind you, up here, this is the order porter page for one of our quotes. You look, that web URL is the order porter site. And if you notice up at the top, it also has that glass look or that glass form. However, you can change the layout or the form for the order porter page. Let me show you a document that we have out here in University. And up here in the top right corner of this document, you can select a different theme so you can see how your order porter page could look with a different theme. Generally, the default is going to be set to glass, probably in all of your systems, but if you want to flip it at the template level, you can. So for example, you want to know what Chrome looks like. There you go, and there's Chrome. If you want to know what glass, well, glass. If you want to know what icon looks like, there you go. And so you can play around with these. And if you want to search for this in University, just search for Cell Accordion Interactive and you can find this. This is a nice document in University that also shows you different features of the order porter page. So for example, if you want the signature box to show on order porter, and that's that big gray box down here, you can check that off. If you want to see what it looks like without it, uncheck it, and then it disappears. So if you want to see what show line item details looks like, there you go. So you can expand the accordion style and you can see line items. If you want to see what it looks like without that, then notice I don't have that accordion fan there. I can just see the subtotals. So certainly feel free to grab this document from University and you can test out the different functionality of order porter. I'm going to go back into our template setup and so back over here. So I have publish settings up here on the top, and then I have the order porter settings, and then you can use that interactive document to decide how you want them to appear. So if you want that e-signature, that gray box, or if you want the e-signature, if you want the signature box, show line item details, and so on. So you'll have some default set for whatever template you start with, but you feel free to change that at the template level. If you make changes on this page, then you're going to save in the top right corner. The next item in the progress bar is terms and recurring. In terms and recurring, I'm actually not going to be covering this today, but just in a nutshell, if you're going to be offering financing to your customers and you might want to set up term options, you can certainly do this within your specific quote, or you could do it at the template level if that's going to be the majority rule. So say, for example, you want to set up terms where perhaps the customer puts 70% down and then the remaining 30% is due upon installation, you could set that up. So that's terms and recurring. There's additional information. You can read about that on University, or if you're going to be working with a business consultant, they can walk you through those steps. The next section is prepare content, and this is where you're going to be really creating your template and putting in all of the different tabs that you want to appear in that template. You could have some information pre-built into the template. You could have your layout set. You could have your price modifier set. So this is where we're actually going to be building it out. And then the last section in the progress bar is publish overview. So say perhaps you want to have a PDF document that's already pre-selected, and over here on the right side in the deliver option, you could go to PDF documents. If you select it here at the template level and you save this, then this is what's going to be available. This is what's going to be the default setting when somebody comes in here to send a quote. Again, you're just putting in here the defaults, the majority rule for your template. All right, so that's the anatomy of a template. I'm not going to save any of the changes that I just made. Let's go ahead and start a new quote. And I'm going to come up here where we've been going throughout these sessions, clicking on my new quote button. And what we recommend is to start a new quote, build out the quote that you like, the way you like it, and then you can turn it into a template. So basically kind of going through the exact same workflow that we've been going through in the last few sessions. So I'm going to start building my quote template by just creating a quote. So coming in here, I'm going to use this template that just has the single tab products, and we'll build it out beyond that. So I'm going to click on basic quote template. And even though this is going to become a template, at this stage of the game, the system doesn't realize that, so I do have to pull in a customer. I'm just going to bring in my test customer here. Once we actually turn this into a template, then the customer will drop out. All right, so I've added in my customer and I'm ready to put in my quote name. So again, this is going to be the name of the template. So let's say I do a lot of quotes for local government. So I'm going to have this as my local government template. I'll put that there. And then over here on the right, I am going to put some quote notes so you can see where that appears when we actually go to select that template. And I'm not going to, my dollar is correct. I'm not going to set any approval rules for this template, so I'm going to skip over that. And I'm ready to save in the top right corner. All right, then I'm going to move on to prepare content. And I'm going to start adding in the tabs that I want to have appear in this quote template. So the first tab that I want to add in is a cover letter. So I'm going to go to my tab templates, the existing ones, click the plus sign, and I'm going to attach cover letter. And with this one, I am going to, if we use a standard cover letter all the time, I'm going to go ahead and build it into this template. So across the top, I'm going to select my plus sign to add in my cover letter. I'm going to use the same cover letter that we've been using throughout these sessions. So coming all the way down to the bottom of the add product screen, I'm going to come down to notes and just simply paste this in. Now, another feature that I want to mention that we have not discussed in previous ones is the use of tags. Let me make this a little bit bigger so it might be easier to see. There we go. So let's say if I want to add in a tag. So a tag can be used to replace general verbiage with customer-specific verbiage. So in this cover letter, I have this first sentence says, "It was great talking to you. I'd like to thank you for your time you've invested in discussing the requirements of your organization." So let's say I want to remove this and I want to actually put a customer tag in there. I'm just going to highlight that, actually just delete it. There we go. And then I'm going to go to our document in University where we have tags. And you can search for this. You can just type in RTF tag descriptions and you can find this. I'm going to scroll through here. And about halfway down the document, I have a bunch of different tags that I can use to replace the general information with customer specific. So all of these tags, these rich text format tags, are customer related. I have some item level and a few tab level. This is the one I'm actually going to take. So this tag that says quote to customer account name, and over here on the right, it indicates that this generates the name of the customer's company. So I'm just going to copy it, and I do need to pull in the brackets. I don't have the brackets on both sides and the tag won't work. And then I'm just going to simply just come in here and paste it into the body of my cover letter. If you notice, it's actually a slightly different font, so I'm just going to Make sure everything is in the same font. Just highlight the whole thing. Make sure it's all the same color, black, and let's do Calibri. All right, so now I have a tag in here, so it should pull in the customer's name. I'm going to select Save and Close. So I want to see how this looks. I can certainly use my preview over here, using my preview, and let's take a look at the cover letter. So if you look in that second row, after Dear Marina, it was great talking to you. I'd like to thank you for your time you've invested in discussing the requirements of, and it says SN Services. SN Services, for the sake of this quote, is our test customer. Again, when we turn this into a template, the customer will drop out, and then the customer that's used in that specific quote will be used with that tag. And one more thing I want to do with my cover letter tab is I want to pull it to the beginning of the list of tabs. So even though the cover letter tab lets the system know that this goes at the beginning, because of the name of the tab, cover letter, it will always put it at the beginning of my quote. I'm still just going to slide it to the beginning just so that it looks logical in my mind. And then I'm going to move over to products. So before I start adding in products, I'm going to add a couple of pre-outlined tabs. So let's come to the end of our list here, go to Tab Templates, and I'm going to add a pre-outlined tab. And then I'm going to rename it. There we go. And I'm just going to add a little bit of verbiage, just like we did in the earlier session. So I'm going to come here to my plus sign, and I've got some verbiage about my company. Put it down in the notes and save and close. And I'll add in a couple other line items, just staying in the same tab. Click my plus sign. And I'm going to use this product description box to act as a subheader. So I'm going to put in experience and then a little experience information down at the bottom. And I just have some general verbiage. Close. And I'll add one more line item into this tab. Put approach. And there we go. And save and close. And remember too, in this session, I'm not actually adding in images, thumbnails, pictures, images, or any of that, but we've talked about that in previous sessions, so you should remember how to do that. Now, if I have some other tabs that I have created in other quotes, I don't have to recreate them here. If you remember, you can copy tabs from other quotes. I'm going to come up here to my main menu, because if you remember in a previous session, we also had a tab about our team. So instead of recreating that, I could just copy it into my quote that's going to become a template. So I come up here to more, and I'm going to copy a tab or multiple tabs from another quote. And then I can put in, if I know the quote number, if I know the quote name, search, and I can search for that. So let's find, here we go. So I'm going to take this hardware and monthly monitoring. And these are all the different tabs that appear on that quote. So I'm going to pull in about our program, and then I'm going to simply hit save. And it's going to take that tab from another quote and copy it into this one. So there it is, and there's our about our program. I'm going to select that, and I am going to move it to, actually I'll leave it here, and then I'll just take products, and I'll slide that to the end. So now I'll have my cover letter, about our company, about our program, and again, you can certainly refresh and view your PDF as you're going. Cover letter, about our company, about our program. And remember, if you want to do a page break, I'll show you how to do a page break. So perhaps we want about our program on a separate page, and I can put that page break at the tab level. So I'm going to go to Tab Actions, edit the tab, and do a page break, and save and close. So it should now pull to the second page and separate. And there we go, on a separate page. Okay, so back over here. So I'm going to start using this Products tab, and I'm going to rename it Hardware. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and apply the grid layout. And I'm going to also add in a price modifier. So I'm pre-building this into the tab. So I'm going to edit the tab, and I'm going to do a markup of 25%, and it's pre-built into the tab. Here we go, the hardware. And then I'm just going to leave this blank, and then it's available to populate when somebody chooses this template. I'm going to come out here and add another tab. And this time I'm going to choose a service tab. I'm going to attach that. And I'm going to rename it to setup fees. I'm going to apply that grid layout. Again, it's just like building a quote, and I've got the grid layout on there. So with this one, I think I'm going to actually pre-populate it with a couple of items that we traditionally use in my office. So if I'm going to populate that, I have those items over in my CRM. So I'm going to come up here to this third icon to product search, and I'm going to pull it in, and it is, I'm going to search by service class. If you don't have all of the exact same fields that I want, or if you want to add additional fields to this search criteria box, you can click the pencil and pencil one more time, and you can find the fields and add them into your criteria box. So I'll just add the, say, the service bronze and the service gold. They're pre-attached. Now, one thing I might want to do before I finish this up is I might want to drop the quantity to 0 so that the end user actually has to make a conscious decision that, yes, I do want to add this item, and they actually have to update the quantity. For now, I'm going to keep the quantity in there so that we can actually just see it when we are previewing. So if I drop it to 0, then it won't show in the preview, but leaving it here for now with a quantity of 1, it will actually show in the preview. All right, I'm going to add another tab, which is my monthly. So down here at the plus, and add in monthly services. I can rename it, and I'm going to rename this to monthly service fees. And remember, the monthly occurrence time frame is coming from this tab setup. Really quick, I'm going to edit the tab and remind you where that is. So down here in this admin pod, it says recurring option is set to monthly. If you need a recurring tab at a different interval, you can come in here, you can select the monthly, and you can come in here and adjust it. And then obviously you're probably going to want to change your name of that tab so it makes more sense. This one I'm also going to pre-populate. So I'm going to pre-populate from my product search from the CRM, and I'm going to look for a couple of agreement items. And let's do, I'll just attach a couple of items just so you can get the feel for this. Back up here to prepare content. And again, I'll leave that with a quantity of 1 for now. Before we're done, we'll drop it out down to 0. The last tab I'm going to add is a post outline. So remember, post outline will appear after the summary. So selecting post outline here and attaching. And I'm going to put in my master service agreement. All right, I'm going to rename it. And I'm going to paste that in. I'm going to choose my plus sign to add a line item. Then coming all the way down to the notes at the bottom, I can paste it, or again, this is pretty heavily formatted, so I'm going to use my little button, paste from Word. So if you have any issues with formatting changes, use the paste from Word button, a little bit safer, and paste it into this box, select OK, and save and close. All right, so pretty much done. Let's do one more, let's just do one more little preview. Here's my cover. Cover letter, about our company, about our program, setup fees. Again, I'll drop those quantities to 0, monthly service fees. Here's my total page. So, and my master service agreement. So it looks pretty good. One more thing you might want to think about doing, some of you I know like to hide manufacturer part numbers. So let's say in that hardware tab, I don't want those part numbers to appear on the quote form. So I'm going to edit this tab. And I'm going to check off over here on the right, hide MFP or hide manufacturer part number. Again, if you don't see some of the fields that my screen is displaying, then you can click on the little pencil in that pod. You can click pencil, and then one more time, click the pencil and search for the field that you need if you don't see it. I'm going to save and close. I'm pretty much done. I'm going to take this and I'm going to turn it now into a template. So the way I do that is I go to the quote setup section in the progress bar, and right here across the top I have save as template, and then it's going to pull me into edit mode. So I can do kind of one more quick little walkthrough, make sure it looks good, it's good to go. I don't want to make any more adjustments. And I can always come back to this template and adjust it again. So it's never really totally set in stone. You can make changes again. So the template, here's my quote name, here's my quote notes. There you go. So I'm going to call it local government template and use for city and county quotes. I'm going to select save. Publish settings. So this is just like we walked through at the beginning, the anatomy of a template. So I just want to make sure I have the correct order porter style, the template for order porter, that accordion that expands and collapses if you're showing your items, individual items. Do I have the correct quote form attached? Terms and conditions. So this actually appears just on the signature page. So if you want to adjust that, feel free to adjust that here in publish settings. Terms and recurring, we're going to skip that area. I don't have anything there. And go to prepare content. All right, and last thing I'm going to do is walk through and zero out these quantities. So the items will be there, and then it's just up to my end user to add them in and also to update the cost. So remember, we've talked about that, verifying that the costs are still correct. So if you have them sitting on a template, costs can change. You may need to resource them from the CRM. Monthly service fees, same thing. Zero those out, and they can make a conscious effort which one to add or neither, and then they can just source their own in master service agreement. Finally, on publish overview, I want to make sure that the appropriate quote form is pre-selected. So in my case, it's pre-selecting glass. It'll be up to my end user at this point if they want to add any PDF documents to their specific quote, or if they want to add videos from the video library that we have uploaded. All right, let's go up here to new quote. And there it is. So there's my local government template, and there's the notes used for city and county quotes. Now, if this is something you've created and you want it to float to the top, then you can star it and then make it a favorite. The next time you come here, it'll be sitting at the top. Now, one more thing you might want to do is to change this image. So whenever you need to get back into your template edit mode, up here in the top right corner, you can toggle to edit, and I can click on the pencil and I can edit it. And I am going to change out that little koala bear image. I'm going to select it. I'm going to delete it. And then I'm going, now I have no image, so I'm going to select it again and choose a file. And I have a little courthouse picture, which I'm going to use and save that image. And now when I go back out here to new quote, you can see, here we go. Here's the quote name, the notes, the image, and it is listed as a favorite. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to actually select this template, and we'll take a look at what we created. There's no customer, so I'm going to actually pull in my city customer. I have City of Bothell, and I'm going to attach that customer. I'm going to attach their location. And here's my template name. It is required, it's required to actually change the template name. So instead of calling it local government, let's call it City of Bothell. Call it that. And I can keep these quote notes here. I can add my own quote notes, remove those. Remember, quote notes are not customer facing. I can change the expiration date. That's just pulling in the 28 days from my setup. So you can change that on the fly if you need to. So just like working like we've been doing throughout the week. And then I'm going to move over to prepare content. And here's my cover letter. And if I were to preview this really quick here, you'll see that it's going to pull in, that tag is going to pull in City of Bothell. You can see that on the second row there. And about our company, about our program, and then moving on, and I can put in the hardware, verify or update the setup fees. So the setup fees, let's say I just want one of these, put that in there, verify that price. If I want to resource that specific price, I can use the little cloud. Remember, a couple different places you can resource your prices. Up here in the top, update all costs for across the entire quote. So if you have multiple items pre-built into your tabs, you may need to do that. You could do it at the tab level, so in tab actions, and you can update all costs, or you can do it line by line. We've talked about that throughout our session. Monthly service fees, and I can say I do want one of these. And again, I can add to it. I can delete some of these tabs. Some companies or some partners actually create some templates that are, we call it kind of the kitchen sink approach, where you put a whole bunch of different tabs onto a template, and then it's up to that end user to pick and choose which ones they want on that actual quote. Before we publish this, let's just add a piece of hardware here to my hardware tab, and I'm going to do an Eli search, and I'll use my Elite display. There we go. And I'll take one of these. So I'm just going to use my little cloud icon to source. Add to quote. All right. So I've at least got something on each of my tabs. Publish and deliver. And I'm not going to walk it through all of the steps, but just want you to see the end result. Let's publish this and send it on its way. So there's the PDF, which we've looked at. Let's just quickly glance at the order porter. So there's my hardware item, my one setup, my one service fee, and all of that good information. So you can start to see how if you have a template that's built, you can actually create your quotes pretty darn quickly. So build out your quote, go to prepare content, add in all of the tabs, apply your grid layouts, apply your price modifiers. If you need to pre-add products, you can go ahead and pre-add products. And then when you're ready to turn it into an actual template, you just go to quote setup, save it as a template, and make your final adjustments. Again, if you need to get back to that template, you can always go back to the new quote, switch over your little toggle to edit, and you can edit any one of your templates. If you delete one of your templates, you can always pull them back in. You can just go to your quote, open quote button, and you can search for deleted. All right, so let's switch gears a little bit and talk about tab templates. I'm going to pop back out to my dashboard, back to the City of Bothell quote that we just created, and prepare content that you frequently use on a variety of quotes, but instead of building it into you could have it built into some templates, but you may also want to have it as a tab template. So down here at the end of my tabs, I have my list of tab templates. So what I'm going to show you is how to populate this list of tab templates. So we kind of have the set ones that just come with the system. If you notice over here to the right, all of these tab templates live on one source quote. So source quote 2 in your database, if you were to pull it up, it's not a real quote, but it's just a place where we have housed all of these tab templates. So I'm going to actually show you how to create another source quote, which will have all of the additional tab templates that you want to add to this list. So the best practice for that is to come back up here, just like we started a moment ago, hit new quote. Again, I'm going to use that basic quote template to start this process. I'm going to use this one right here, or actually this one, the basic quote template. And I am going to pull in it my test company. So this is my test company, and get them attached. So here what I'm going to do is this quote is actually going to be the source of all of my tab templates. So I'm just going to name this tab templates, and I'm going to put do not delete. So that's the name of that one. And I am going to change the quote status just so that I don't keep seeing it when I'm searching for quotes. I don't see it in my active won or lost list. I'm going to flip it to no decision. It just hides it a little bit more from kind of the daily quote search. So that's going to be my quote name, and that's going to be my quote status, and I'm going to select save. The rest of that does not matter. Again, this is just going to be your source quote where you're going to house your tab templates. I'm going to move over to prepare content. I am going to add in a hardware tab. So accessing the existing ones, I'm going to click here, attach this one. Let's say we have a common set of printers that we frequently add to our quotes. What I'm going to do is rename this printers, let's say printer package. And then I'm going to source a couple of printer items that we frequently sell. So I'm going to go to product search, and I'm going to type in printer in my description. I think I've got a couple of things I could pull in here. So let's say I take this HP printer and attach this printer cable. All right, a printer package with a couple of items on there. These are items, say, that we frequently sell. I'm going to edit the grid layout. Go ahead and apply that. Layout with cost and source. Put that on there. And I'm going to go ahead and apply a markup. So I'm going to edit the tab. And I'm going to go to tab price control. Let's do a gross margin markup of 20 points. Save and close. So I can turn this tab into a tab template simply by editing the tab. And one other thing before I turn it into a template, I may also want to put a tab description. So when we're looking at that list of tab templates, I have a description that accompanies the name. Let's do that. Not required, but you can do that. And then down here in the lower left corner in my admin pod, I have is tab template. That's it. Once I've selected that and I save and close, it is now a tab template. Let's go back to our dashboard. I'm going to go back to my City of Bothell quote to prepare content, hit my plus sign at the end, and now I have my tab printer package, common, there's my notes, and it lives on quote 3714. And I'm going to put all of my tab templates onto that same quote 3714. So if I needed to attach this to my City of Bothell quote, I can attach it, and there it is. So we could take that and we could maybe put it after hardware. There we go. Okay, so let's go back to my tab templates. And let's say we frequently have to add in a confidentiality statement. So I want to make that as an option to add in as a template. Let's come out here, and I will choose a pre-outline. There we go. Let's rename it. And I'm going to add some information. So select my plus sign and put in some details. Say we've got terms and conditions. So I'm going to use that little subheader. There we go. And save and close. Let's add one more line item. And then again, if you want to put in pictures, pictures appear after the verbiage, thumbnail appears before the verbiage. And I have a little terms image, that, and save and close. All right, so if I want to turn this into a tab template, I simply edit the tab. And then down in the admin only pod, I have is tab template, and I can save and close. So really quick, going back over to my dashboard, go back to my City of Bothell quote, go to prepare content, hit my plus sign, and there's the confidentiality statement, and I can attach it. So I could also add a description into that tab description. And again, it lives on the same quote. So it's nice to have all of your tab templates in one source quote. Therefore, you just have really one place to go to keep them current and maintain them and add additional ones. If you ever want to just get back there, you can't remember, you can go to open quotes and you could search for it, or you could just click on this link 3714 and it will open up that specific quote where you're housing your tab templates. So I can attach this to my City of Bothell, and there it is. So now I have, and I'm gonna, let's say I put it right before the signature. So confidentiality statement was a pre-outline. So when we preview it here, there we go, just let it load in. So it's after monthly service fees, then I have confidentiality statement. I might want to put a page break there. So in the case of this specific quote, I might want to separate it out, so you can always do that. But that's, again, that's inside this specific quote. It's not at the tab template. So I could do it either space, either place. All right, so that is both quote templates and tab templates. So just as you start creating your quotes, you can start to think about all the different shortcuts that would be nice to have. Quote templates and tab templates that are pre-built to meet your needs are definitely going to save you time. They're going to help create uniformity and standardize your quotes. In addition, I mentioned briefly, you can require approvals. So quotes, that need to be reviewed before delivery. So you could have manager approvals, you can have peer approvals. If you want to set that up for a specific template, then you're going to do it at the template level. Come up here, switch your toggle over to edit, and then you can get in, and in that quote setup section, you can actually, put it at the template level and put requirements for approvals. If you end up deleting a quote template, you could even restore them if you want. You can come over here to open quotes. You can search for your deleted ones, do a search, and then you could restore them. There you go. So we could open it up and we could restore it. Hopefully that helps you get a head start on it. And so just a quick little review. So we learned how to create new templates for users to choose from when starting a new quote. Again, the best practice workflow for that is to create the quote from scratch and then turn it into a template. We also learned how to create tab templates to choose when users are in their actual quote by hitting the plus sign at the end of the tab list. Best practice workflow for that is to create a quote called tab templates, and you can house all of your tab templates there. So easier maintenance if all of your tab templates are living on one single quote. So as you're going through your training and you're starting to use Cell and starting to do all of your test quotes, just make notes of all those items that you think would be helpful to have pre-built into quote templates or tab templates. So I want to thank you guys for joining me throughout these virtual trainings. Have a great time using Cell and come back for additional training. Thank you.